Welcome to Two Cooks in the Kitchen. Today we're going to make Colorado sauce. This is one of my favorite Mexican sauces to make. It really brings out the flavor of the dried chilies. It's just a beautiful thing. And you can use it with so many dishes. So this weekend, the plan is to use it for Chile Rellenos. So we'll see how that goes. So I have here 8 dried New Mexico chilies and 8 dried Guajillo chilies and 8 dried Ancho or Poblano and 2 of these are dried Serranos, and they are really spicy. And we get these chilies, I get them from Spices Incorporated. This is, when this bag was full, it weighed a pound. That's a pound of chilies, and they last forever, but these are really nice. They're not like brittle and like the ones you find in the stores. These are more like a raisin of a chili, as it were. And I just love cooking with them. They're tremendous. They have a lot of flavor. So I'm going to take all the seeds and stems out of these chilies, and I'm not going to save them for this sauce. And then we're going to heat them up in a pan to kind of caramelize some of the sugars in them, and then we're going to soak them. And we're going to do the heating up and soaking. We're going to do that with some garlic cloves. But for now, I'm going to get started taking the seeds and stems out of these things, and we'll come back when that's all done. All right, so we have our pile of seeded and torn up chilies. The Serranos you can't really get into and seed them. You just cut them up, and we'll leave the seeds in because that's part of the heat. And I have 8 cloves of garlic peeled and crushed. And I'm putting the chilies in here a few at a time, along with some a few of the garlic. And what we're going to try and do here is just heat these chilies up just a little bit. It kind of seems to draw the sugars out of them a little bit and adds a little more flavor. And then we're going to put them into a water bath to soak. And this will soften the dried chilies. It's an important step. So we are just going to do this. The thing you have to watch for when you're doing this is you don't want to burn these chilies. You can get them to where they'll smoke just a little bit, but you don't want it to go any farther than that.
They're starting to do something.
Yeah.
I usually can't handle it.
It can be noxious fumes off of these.
Yeah, we should have opened the door.
I like it. It makes me sneeze.
Yeah, you sneeze, I choke.
Oh yeah, it's really fragrant. Yeah, this is good. So these chilies are grown and dried in New Mexico, which is a great climate for growing and drying chilies. Chilies seem to grow pretty well here in Humboldt, but I don't know of anybody who's drying chilies here. If you do, let me know. But there's lots of dried herb around here, but I don't know about chilies. Oh yeah. So these are definitely, there's definitely something happening with these. So we'll keep this going until I get all of these into the water bath, and then we'll let them soak for a while.
I'm gonna go open the doors so that I don't die.
Okay, so these are all done now. By the way, this was put into a dry pan. There's no oil in here. We're just sweating the chilies. So they're going in their water bath, and they're going to soak for, not sure how long, at least a half hour here. We really want to soften them up before we put them in the blender. So now our chilies have been soaking for a little over half an hour, and the next step in our process is working in batches now, because this is too much to do all at once. We're going to put the chilies and the garlic, into our blender, along with some of the soaking water. Take a look, if you can see how dark this water is. It's full of a lot of great chili flavor. And this is kind of a guesstimate here of how much you need. You just don't want the sauce to be too tight. And we're also going to add some oil. This is olive oil. You could use vegetable oil. All told, we're going to use a cup of oil for this. And I should also add that I make a lot of this sauce because we use it for all kinds of things. It's great. You cook your taco meat in it. You can put it on your enchiladas. You could cook chicken thighs in Colorado sauce. There are a lot of uses for this sauce. So we freeze it, so we'll have it for a while. You could have this recipe or even quarter it. So just keep your proportions pretty close to the same. Nothing has to be exact here. And it'll work out just fine. So now we want to make as smooth as we can get this. And it's still going to have little pieces of chili skins, but so what I find works really well is to chop it a little bit and then to put it on the margarita setting. Frozen drink. And just like that, we have this beautiful, creamy sauce. Now this next step is optional. If you don't mind having all those peels and pieces of chili skin in your sauce, and really it's not bad. I've skipped the sieving step before, but it's not too hard, and this really makes for a silky sauce. It takes all the skins out, and you end up with a beautiful, beautiful sauce, mahogany in color, kind of. And this, it kind of looks like adobe. I think you could make bricks out of this and build a house. It's a beautiful, beautiful stuff. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue with this until we get all of our chilies blended up and sieved, and then we'll come back and put our sauce together. All right, so this is what we got out of that, and this is it's kind of a thick chili goodness. Remember, there's nothing in here but dried chilies and garlic. And I used several cups of the soaking water. Now this recipe calls for 16 cups of broth. You could make this completely vegetarian if you used a vegetable broth. I usually make this with chicken broth, but earlier this summer I made some really good beef bone broth, and I'm going to use that in this. And since I've already added quite a bit of the soaking water, I'm going to add about 12 cups of bone broth. And we'll see what consistency is. I may need to add a little more. We'll see what happens. And like I said, you can always pare this recipe down, use 4 of each kind of chili instead of 8. Then you'd only need 8 cups of bone broth, or whatever broth you're using. So to this, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of coriander, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Those are both ground cumin, ground coriander. And I'm going to add a pile of fresh oregano.
You could probably use dry. You could probably use dry, right? You
could use dried oregano, and you probably want just a couple teaspoons of it. And we are going to cook this for quite a long time. And really, what's going to tell when it's done is the consistency of it. We don't want it to be too watery, so we're going to cook it in after we put the broth in, we're going to cook it down and let it thicken up just a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in all the broth. And as it happens, we prepared so well for this that a lot of the broth is still frozen. So we will just let it thaw out right here in the soup. And we'll come out of this with a big old batch of Colorado sauce. All right, so we let the Colorado sauce cool in the fridge overnight and scraped a layer of fat off of it, which is going to make this much better. This is really a nice looking sauce. Look at that color. Colorado, as a name for a sauce, it just means red. And I guess you could say this is sort of reddish brown. We are freezing this in 1 cup cubes for later use. I'm also going to save 2 cups out for our rellenos. And I probably better get that soon.
I think I would want to say also that the 1 cup cubes is handy because then we can just put them in all in a Ziploc instead of multiple containers or whatever. Just way more convenient.
Measuring cup. And set some aside for our today's project.
That cooked down a lot, didn't it?
Yep. Yeah, this is, and it's really super tasty. Okay, that's that. I don't even know if I'm going to get another cube out of this.
Just make one of the other ones bigger, maybe.
No, I like them to be a cup. It helps with recipes. So we'll do the half cups. And if I use the scraper, I might almost fill that one. So there you have the Colorado sauce. This is delicious. It's going to be great with the rellenos, and it's one of the I think there's 3 sauces that I really like to make out of these. And we'll get to the other 2, mole and poblano sauce, in a fairly soon while we still got to have the fresh peppers. I'm just going to fill this one up. There we go. And there you have it. Thanks for watching 2 Cooks in the Kitchen, and we'll see you next time.